Have you ever felt like your mind was hijacked by chaos? Like you're trapped in a whirlwind of overthinking, spinning, spiraling, reacting, until you can't tell if you're living your life or just surviving it? I have, more times than I care to admit. It's strange, isn't it? We live in an age of endless options, constant stimulation, and promises of happiness just a click away. And yet, peace, real peace, feels like a myth. We chase success, money, likes, love, compliments. We scroll endlessly, hoping something or someone will fill that silent space inside. But the more we chase, the more it slips away, like trying to hold water in your bare hands. I remember one night, around 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling. Exhausted, but wide awake. My mind was sprinting through everything I hadn't done, everything I couldn't control, everyone I feared would disappoint me, or already had. That's when the question hit me like a punch. What if nothing changes? What if this storm never stops? And then, would I be okay? That's not a comfortable question, but it's a necessary one. Because life doesn't come with guarantees. The job you love might vanish. The people you count on might walk away. The version of the future you painted so perfectly, it might never arrive. And when that happens, and it will, the only thing left is you. Not the title, not the bank account, you, standing in the middle of your own mind. And if that mind is a mess, there's nowhere to run. That's why Stoicism isn't just philosophy. It's a survival skill, a mindset forged in war, exile, betrayal, disease, real life. It won't coddle you. It won't promise comfort. What it offers is power. Power over the one thing no one can take from you, your response. Imagine this. You get bad news. A deal falls through. A loved one turns cold. The first instinct, panic, blame, despair. But what if instead, you pause, you breathe, you say, this is happening. Now, who do I want to be in the middle of it? That shift, right there, that's everything. Peace isn't passive, it's earned, not by escaping the storm, but by facing it differently. This video isn't about pretending life is okay. It's about becoming the kind of person who's okay, even when it's not. So if you're ready, not to be rescued, but to rise, stay with me. Because what comes next might just change the way you meet the world. The past, it creeps in like a whisper at midnight. A memory, a name, a single moment you wish you could rewrite. And suddenly, your chest tightens, your mind replays every detail, and you're right back there, trapped in something that's already over. Isn't that strange? How something that no longer exists can still shape how we wake up, how we breathe, how we look at ourselves in the mirror. I've been there, haunted not by monsters under the bed, but by my own thoughts. Words I didn't say, choices I didn't make, people I trusted who walked away. Regrets have a way of disguising themselves as truth, don't they? They tell you, asterisk, you should have known better. They whisper, asterisk, this is who you are now. But the truth, they lie. Regret is a trick of the mind, It convinces you that punishing yourself somehow makes up for the past. But it doesn't, it just keeps you stuck. You can't move forward while clinging to a ghost. And the worst part, most of what we carry isn't even the event itself. It's the story we've told ourselves about it. Over and over, until it became a prison. Stoicism teaches us something radical. The past is dead. It holds no real power, unless we give it permission to sit at the table of our present. Unless we invite it in, feed it, keep its voice alive. But what if we didn't? What if we called its bluff? Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending it didn't hurt. It means acknowledging it happened, and choosing not to let it define us anymore. It's not easy. Sometimes the weight becomes familiar, comfortable, even like an old scar we've learned to live with. But familiar pain is still pain, and dragging it into the future only multiplies the suffering. I once wrote down the thing that haunted me most, a failure, one I carried like a badge of shame. And I asked myself, is this still shaping who I am? Or is it just noise I haven't silenced yet? That question cracked something open, because in that moment, I realized I had already paid the price. With time, with tears, with self-doubt, there was nothing left to owe. Freedom doesn't arrive with fanfare. Sometimes, it's quiet, a shift, a breath, a moment of courage when you decide to drop the weight and walk forward, lighter. You don't need closure from the past. You don't need approval. You just need to decide that your future deserves a version of you that's not shackled to what broke you. Because peace doesn't wait for your past to be perfect. It waits for you to let go. The present moment, it sounds so simple, so obvious, and yet, how often are we actually in it? Most days, we're ghosts in our own lives. Our hands move, our mouths speak, our bodies go through the motions, but our minds are miles away. Replaying a conversation from last week, rehearsing a disaster that hasn't even happened yet. Regret pulls us backward, anxiety drags us forward, but peace, it lives only here, in this exact second, in the inhale, the exhale. I used to think presence was something poetic, something for monks on mountaintops or people with fewer problems. But the truth hit me hard one day, while I was brushing my teeth, of all things. My mind was racing about deadlines, mistakes, relationships, goals, and then it struck me. I'm missing my own life. Not the big milestones, the everyday, ordinary details that stitch it all together. The warmth of the water, the hum of the toothbrush, the weight of being alive. The Stoics understood this long before smartphones and endless notifications existed. They knew that real strength, real clarity, doesn't come from controlling the future or dissecting the past. It comes from mastering the now. Because the now is all we ever truly have. The past is a story. The future, a theory. But this moment, this heartbeat, this breath, it's real. And it's yours. But let's not romanticize it. Anchoring to the present is hard. It's uncomfortable. It means confronting your thoughts instead of escaping them. It means choosing awareness when your instincts scream distraction. But here's what I've learned. Every time I return to the moment, really return, I find a quiet kind of power. Like I've stepped into my own body again, like I've remembered that I exist, not as a collection of worries, but as a living, breathing person. Try it right now. Feel your breath, not as an idea, but as a physical thing. The rise of your chest, the fall, the air at the tip of your nose. That's your anchor, always available, always honest, no matter what's happening around you. We've been trained to believe that movement equals progress, that if we're not planning, not pushing, not solving, we're wasting time. But what if the most productive thing you can do is pause? What if stillness isn't laziness, but wisdom? I'm not saying stop dreaming. I'm saying stop missing your life while chasing it. Presence isn't passive, it's a discipline, a decision you make every moment. To asterisk be here, to asterisk feel this, to asterisk live now. Because this second, right here, is the only one guaranteed. The only one you can touch, taste, shape. Everything else is smoke. This is the ground beneath your feet. Stand on it. There's a kind of madness we've come to worship, the grind, the hustle, the never-ending to-do lists. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor, as if being busy proves we matter. But deep down, we know something's off. We feel it in the tightness in our chest, the shallowness of our breath, the blur of days passing without a moment to ask. Asterisk, why am I rushing? I've been caught in that loop, waking up already behind, chasing outcomes I hadn't even defined, moving fast but never feeling like I was getting anywhere. And what snapped me out of it wasn't a big change. It was a pause, just 30 seconds, one morning. Instead of grabbing my phone or diving into emails, I sat, no agenda, no productivity hack, just me and the silence. At first, it felt awkward, like I was wasting time. But then I noticed something I hadn't in weeks. Myself. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They fought wars, lost empires, endured exile, and yet they still made space to asterisk stop. Because they knew, if you don't pause with purpose, life will pause you with force. Through burnout, through breakdown, through moments when your body says what your mind refuses to hear. Enough. Stillness isn't weakness, it's strength under control. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing next, because you've taken a moment to asterisk see clearly. Like a warrior who stops mid-battle, not to surrender, but to sharpen the blade before striking again. When I started building in micro pauses, 30 seconds before meetings, 1 minute after a stressful call, a deep breath before I opened my laptop, I began making better decisions. Not faster ones, better ones. I didn't just react, I responded, with intention, with clarity, with presence. That changed everything. You don't need a retreat in the mountains. You need a moment in your own mind. Try it now. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply, and ask yourself, asterisk, what am I really chasing today? And why? You might be surprised at the answer. Or maybe, finally, you'll hear it, because in the end, Nowhere you can go is more peaceful than your own soul. Not the next achievement, not the next destination, just here, inside, but only if you're willing to be quiet enough to hear it speak. We don't pause because we're weak. We pause because we're wise. We rest so we can rise. We stop so we can start again, with fire, with focus, with purpose. So the next time life pushes you to go faster, try doing the bravest thing of all: stop, just long enough to remember who you are. The mind. It's the most powerful tool you'll ever possess. And yet, it can also be your greatest trap. Left unguarded, it turns against you. It whispers lies with the voice of truth. It turns tiny setbacks into personal failures. It dredges up old wounds and paints them as prophecies of what's to come. It will tell you you're not enough, that you're too late, that you'll never get it right. And if you're not careful, you'll believe it. I've lived inside that noise. I've felt the storm of thoughts so loud that silence felt impossible. But here's what changed everything for me. Not some magic mantra. Not blind optimism, but awareness. The moment I stopped identifying with every thought, and started observing them from the outside, I took the first step back toward peace. The voice in your head is not always your friend, and it's not always you. The Stoics taught this with piercing clarity. They knew that thoughts are just suggestions, not commands. Just because a fear enters your mind doesn't mean it deserves to live there. Just because comparison creeps in doesn't mean you owe it your self-worth. And just because anger flares up doesn't mean you have to act on it. The trick is not to silence these thoughts, but to question them. Ruthlessly, I started asking myself one simple question whenever a thought repeated. Asterisk, is this helping me or hurting me? Not, is it true? Not, is it logical? But simply, does this serve the person I'm trying to become? If the answer was no, I let it go, not by force, but by choice. I wrote it down. I stared at it. I robbed it of its power by dragging it into the light. Your mind is a garden. That metaphor might sound soft, but it's one of the most brutal truths you'll face. Weeds, fear, doubt, resentment, they grow without effort. But peace, discipline, clarity, those are seeds you plant, water, tend to, and yes, protect, because the world will keep throwing junk into your soil. Algorithms, media, opinions, comparisons, but you get to choose what takes root. You're not meant to control every thought. You're meant to lead them, to organize the chaos into something coherent, to build a home in your mind where peace doesn't just visit, it lives. That doesn't happen overnight, but every time you step back and choose which thought gets your attention, you build that home brick by brick. You are not your thoughts. You are the one asterisk watching them, and the moment you remember that, you become free. Free to think clearly. Free to feel deeply, free to live fully. We grip so hard sometimes, don't we, to the job that drains us, to the person who stopped showing up, to the version of the future we promised ourselves we'd reach by now. We think if we just hold on tighter, press harder, prove more, push longer, maybe we won't lose it. Maybe it'll stay, but more often than not, the tighter we cling, the more we suffer, because what we're really trying to control isn't the outcome, it's the fear of change. I've done it too, stayed too long, fought too hard, attached my sense of worth to things I couldn't control, and when they slipped away, as they always do, I felt like I lost a piece of myself. That's the illusion, that who you are lives in the things you can hold. But real strength isn't in holding, it's in knowing when to release. The Stoics were blunt about this. You can love something deeply, fully, and still not own it. You can show up, give your best, pour your heart in, and still accept that the final outcome is not yours to command. That sounds brutal in a world that glorifies control, but it's also the most liberating truth I've ever lived. Detachment doesn't mean coldness. It doesn't mean shutting your heart down or pretending you don't care. It means caring from a grounded place, being rooted in your own peace, not in someone else's approval. It means saying, I love you, but I won't collapse if you leave. I want this job, but I won't self-destruct if I don't get it. I give my all, but I don't chain my identity to the result. It's hard. Letting go feels like giving up until you actually do it. And then you realize, the weight you were carrying wasn't the thing itself. It was the fear of what you thought losing it would mean. But when you loosen your grip, you regain your balance. You realize that you don't need everything to stay the same in order to be okay. Ask yourself right now, what are you holding onto with clenched fists? What idea? What outcome? What person? What version of yourself is keeping you trapped? And what if releasing it doesn't mean failure, but freedom? The river of life moves whether you fight it or not. But when you flow with it, with grace, you start to see beauty again, in new chances, in unexpected paths, in the quiet relief of finally exhaling. Sometimes, peace doesn't come from having it all. It comes from no longer needing to. There's a quiet hunger that eats at so many of us, a gnawing sense that something's missing. We chase more money, more success, more love, thinking that just around the corner, we'll finally feel full, but we never do. Because the problem isn't how much we have, it's how we see what we already do. Gratitude isn't some soft, feel-good concept. It's a radical shift in perspective. And for me, it didn't come naturally. It came from pain. I used to think gratitude was for people who had it easy. How could I be grateful when things weren't going the way I wanted? When I was failing, when life felt unfair. But the truth is, that's when gratitude matters most. Not when life is perfect, but when it's messy. When you're tired, disappointed, angry, and you still pause, look around, and find one thing worth holding on to. I remember a time I hit rock bottom. I was sitting alone in my apartment, broke, unsure of who I was becoming, and in the middle of that chaos, I looked out the window and saw the soft light of morning hitting the rooftops. It was nothing, but it was also everything. For one brief second, I felt still, I felt alive, and I realized I'd spent so long waiting for my life to look a certain way. I'd forgotten to feel it as it was. Gratitude doesn't fix everything, but it changes everything. When you wake up and name 3 things you're thankful for, something strange happens. Your brain begins to rewire. It stops scanning for what's missing and starts noticing what's already here. A warm cup of coffee, a deep breath, a text from someone who thought of you. These aren't small things. They're the real things. The ones we step over in our rush to get to some imagined destination. The Stoics understood this well. They practiced negative visualization *, imagining what it would be like to lose the things they loved, so they could cherish them more deeply. That might sound dark, but it's not. It's a reminder. Everything you treasure is borrowed, temporary, and that makes it even more precious. Try this, just for a week, before the noise of the day grabs you. Sit with yourself, no phone, no agenda, just you and a notebook, and write down 3 things. Not big wins, not someday goals, just now. What's good in your world right now? Because the truth is, you don't have to get more to feel full. You just have to see more clearly. And when you do, you'll realize, the life you're chasing, in so many ways, you already have it. Every day, we live thousands of moments, but how many do we actually notice? How many pass by in a blur, lost in the chaos of routine, without ever asking, what did this day teach me? Most people don't reflect, they repeat. The same reactions, the same mistakes, the same emotional loops, not because they want to, but because they never stop long enough to recognize the patterns. And without awareness, growth is impossible. I used to move through life on autopilot. Wake up, work, react, distract, sleep. I told myself I was too busy to slow down, to look inward, but deep down, I was afraid of what I might find. What if I realized I wasn't who I thought I was? What if I saw the gap between who I am and who I want to be? The truth is, that gap is uncomfortable. But it's also the doorway to everything we want to become. The Stoics didn't reflect to punish themselves. They reflected to evolve. Each night, Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, wrote quietly to himself, not for show, not for praise, but to examine his mind, to ask hard questions, to course correct. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Reflection is not about shame. It's not about perfection. It's about precision, like a sailor adjusting the wheel by just 1 degree, knowing that over time, that tiny shift will take him somewhere entirely different. And that's exactly how it feels when you begin this practice. At first, it seems small, simple, but then, over weeks, something changes. You react slower, speak kinder, choose better, because now, you're not just living *, you're learning. I started keeping a journal a year ago. Nothing elaborate, just 5 minutes before bed. 1 page. 3 questions. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? What will I try tomorrow? And that ritual, it's changed my life. Not because every day is perfect, but because I stopped drifting. I started steering. There's something sacred about meeting yourself at the end of each day, not as an enemy to criticize, but as a friend to guide. No one else sees those pages. They're just for me, and in that space, I'm honest, brutally, sometimes, but always with one goal: growth. If you want to evolve, you don't need dramatic change. You need gentle, consistent awareness. 5 minutes, a pen, a quiet corner. That's it. That's the work. And if you do it, you'll notice the shift. You'll start making decisions with intention. You'll stop repeating what no longer serves you. And one day, you'll look back and realize you didn't just survive your days. You transformed through them. The journey within, it's not a straight line. It twists, it doubles back, it tests you in silence. But here's the truth no one tells you. Peace isn't something you stumble upon one sunny morning. It's something you build, brick by brick, choice by choice, breath by breath. These 8 strategies, they're not just ideas. They're anchors in a world that profits off your distraction, your anxiety, your constant need to be more. They are quiet acts of rebellion. Choosing to pause, to reflect, to let go, to stay present, that's not weakness. That's strength in its purest form. I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed, to wake up already behind, to be at war with your own thoughts. I've chased success, love, validation, thinking they would calm the storm. But the real shift didn't come from getting more. It came from looking in, from realizing that if I could master what was happening inside, nothing on the outside could break me. And that's what I want for you. Because you are not your past. You are not what went wrong. You are not the voice that tells you you're too late, too broken, too small. You are your breath when you choose to slow it. You are your focus when you refuse to be pulled. You are your strength when you decide to stay present, grounded, unshaken. And yes, you will forget, you will drift. That's human. But now, you have a map, 8 strategies to return to reset, to reclaim, like a compass that always points you back to yourself. So here's my ask. Don't just listen, live it. Pick one strategy, just one. Try it today. Feel the resistance. Push through it. Journal your thoughts. Pause with purpose. Question your mind instead of obeying it. Let go, even if your hands still tremble. Do it imperfectly, but do it, because nothing changes if you don't act. And when you do, when even a flicker of calm lights up your chest, I want you to share it with someone who needs it, someone who's drowning in noise and doesn't even know peace is possible. Be that spark for them. Then come back, subscribe, because this isn't a one-time thing. It's a practice, a path, a lifelong unfolding of who you really are beneath the chaos. And trust me, the deeper you go, the clearer it gets. This isn't just a video. It's an invitation to choose presence over panic, to choose peace over perfection, to choose you. So, are you in?